You're welcome to my banner. My guest is seated. He's the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, Mr. Osei Bonso Amoa. Thank you so much for your time.
An MP for Crafton South. That's more important.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I skipped that because of the conversation, but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while.
I know.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
This CI is already, both sides could not agree firmly on it?
Why? Is that the impression being created? Anyway,
Yeah, I
good
got
morning to viewers, especially the good people of Crafton South. I'm happy to be here. And I think you're doing a good job by asking that we should talk about this. The registration will start, I think, a week today. And people need to be informed and educated as to what we need to do. And the EC, even though under the Constitution, they've been mandated to educate people on electoral matters, including registration. I think we all need to help them so that we have a very successful registration exercise and then subsequently the elections. So you're doing well. I hope today will not be the only day. Maybe
they should give us some of their budgetary allocation for publicity, and then we'll do a lot more.
Maybe from now to the registration will be 10 days. So we have 1 week and then 10 days. So from now to the end of the registration, you assess them in.
Do you agree, though, that publicity has been very low?
Very, very low. And unfortunately, we appear to be discussing more of their logo and then validation, which is after the registration exercise. So we all need to help them. Otherwise, it will be a fiasco. And all this money that we'll be putting in, we may not get what we really want. So that's the first thing I would say. We now have CI 91. It used to be CI 72. So that's the first change. And we also need to let the whole world know that when it comes to laws for the EC, especially instruments, regulations, they make those regulations. The Constitution under Article 51 says that the Electoral Commission shall make regulations by constitutional instrument. And then once it's by constitutional instrument, they bring it to Parliament. It stays in Parliament for 21 sitting days. If Parliament does not have any problem with the regulations, it passes. And if Parliament has a problem, 2/3 of members of Parliament should annul the regulations. So once it goes through, then EC would have made these regulations, and then we carry on. So they have made regulations for registration, and this is what we are going to use for all registrations until it's amended, CI 91.
Okay. So the idea is people who are going to register must know what the regulation says.
Yes.
Okay. And you advise that we break this conversation into 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying that we should break it into 3 because there are some activities which we may call pre-registration activities. Pre-registration in the sense that the EC is required to gazette, publish to the whole world the date that they want to start the registration. So it's an activity before registration itself. Then the EC is also supposed to announce the centers and places where the registration will be carried out. This time around, they are saying that it's limited registration. So the centers will be the electoral areas. They are even combining electoral areas. So, for instance, in my constituency, we have 24 electoral areas.
Equip South.
South. The EC is saying that they don't have enough machines. It's limited registration. So 2 electoral areas will have 1 machine. So instead of 24 electoral areas, each having its own equipment for registration, they will collapse some of the electoral areas 2 to 1, except under certain circumstances where they think the centers are too large, where they may decide to give them a machine for a 10-day period. So where they combine 2 electoral areas, they may spend 5 days in one electoral area and then move on to another electoral area. So they have what they call a movement plan. They are supposed to give this movement plan especially to the political parties, who will be appointing agents so that the parties will follow the movement that they will be making.
Okay.
So this activity is also before the registration exercise. And then the CI also enjoins the EC to publish all appointees who will be carrying out the exercise, their names and pictures, 14 days before the exercise.
Publish in the dailies?
No, publish at their offices.
Okay.
So what we as parties do is to go to them, or they call for a meeting, and they give us the list of persons they have appointed to carry out the exercise. Now, CI 72 said they should give us the lists. CI 91 is saying that give the list and pictures.
Okay.
If you're appointing Mama V, there may be several Mama Vs in Ekrapim's house. Add Mama V's picture so that I'll know the particular Mama V you are talking about.
Okay.
And it's less than the 14 days. So every EC office should have complied with this directive by now. I don't know. It's for the interested parties to go to these district offices to demand. I'm hearing that in some districts, they are giving the list without adding pictures.
But that's not what the regulation says.
That's not what the regulation says. And so this is a pre-registration activity. Then also, for parties, you're supposed to send the names of the agents you'll be appointing for the exercise to the EC 7 days before the exercise.
Okay.
The names of all your agents, MPP, if you are planning to appoint 2 agents per registration center, send their names and everything so that the EC will make accreditation for them.
Okay.
That these persons are authorized to be at the registration center for this particular purpose.
So I guess if you're an agent who is not accredited by the Electoral Commission, you couldn't be at the center.
Yes. And then even for observers, you're also required to send your particulars to the EC. If multimedia, you want to cover the registration exercise, and you want to be embedded, as you say, in the whole exercise, you may have to send the list to the EC so that they will give you the accreditation.
They've given a communication to that effect, and they've given a deadline.
So that is also a pre-registration activity.
Okay.
So before the registration starts, all these things should go on, and they are all under the law. Some changes have been made. That's where I talked about pictures and names, not only names, under the new CI.
Okay.
And you go to the registration itself. The first regulation talks about who qualifies to be registered. Ghanaian, that is a citizen, 18 years, resident, ordinary resident in an area, and then of sound mind. So when registration opens, you are the one qualified to register. But in this case, it says limited registration in the sense that those who have never registered are the ones who are going to register. It's very important, and we will come to that point, because you go around and you hear people saying that, I've lost my card, can I go and register? You can't go and register. If for any reason you go and deceive the electoral officer to register, your name will appear twice on the register, and you'd have done multiple registrations.
That will be an offense.
Perfect. So if you've lost your card, you will have to take the opportunity to report and then get the card replaced. This is not a time for that exercise. So who qualifies becomes the first thing. Then you should show how you qualify. That is where you're supposed to go to the center with either a passport, driver's license, national identification card. They used to have national health insurance card, which Supreme Court has struck out. And then where you don't have any of this, which I suspect will be the most frequent issue during this exercise, because the average 18-year-old may not have a passport, may not have a driver's license. National ID is in limbo. Last time I heard, millions of cars were lying around the offices which have not been distributed because they say there's no money. So the average person may not have all this. That means that person should have a guarantor. And in the CI 72, anybody could go and say, I'm guaranteeing. I go in and say that I know Mama V, I'm guaranteeing that she's 18, a Ghanaian of sound mind, whatever. And then the person guarantees. But an individual can guarantee for only 5 persons. If I say I'm guaranteeing for people I can vouch for, I can do that for only 5 persons. But as an 18-year-old walks to the registration center without any of these identification cards, she needs 2 guarantors. I hope you're following.
To go along with her?
To go along with her.
Okay.
You're assuming that it's a lady.
Yes, it's me.
It's you. To go along with her, to go and register. Now, as I said, CI-72 could just made it so open and blanket. Anybody walks in, I'm coming to guarantee. Now, CI-91 is saying either a parent, a guardian, spouse, or sibling.
Okay.
And then other. The other you should specify.
Must they be above 18?
You should be a registered voter.
Okay.
So other, you have to specify. Maybe a school teacher, maybe a pastor, maybe whatever. So that they will capture it on their form that this person came without any guarantor. But this is a person without any of the casts. But this person has come vouching that this person is qualified to be registered.
And you need 2 of such people.
You need 2 of such people. So that if you wake up in the morning, you are 19 years, this year, by all means, you want to vote and vote for Obi Amwa, you have to go and register. And if you have to go and register, you wake up from home, you have to convince your parents or your big brother and your mom. Please, today, I want you to spend some hours in the queue for me so that you guarantee so that I get my card. So that is the process. Then, once you're able to do that, you get to the center, you fill the form, and then you are registered.
Okay.
Now, part of the role of the agents, or maybe we should come to rather even the role of the registration officers. You get there, they ask questions, they fill a form, you sign, they do the card for you. They all have their roles to play. They get you the card laminated, you get your card. But in the course of it, the agent there is allowed to challenge whoever is coming.
My eligibility.
Your eligibility.
Okay.
In which case, he will have to fill a challenge form.
Even though I have the 2 people with me?
Even when you have the 2 people with you.
Okay.
Even when you are holding a card. The agent is allowed to challenge your eligibility. And he has to fill a challenge form. Now, the CI-91 is saying that that challenge form should be in duplicate so that he leaves one of the EC, keeps one for future arbitration. So that is something new that has been brought in. So for every situation, once you are challenged, your card will not be given to you.
But you go through the process of
registration.
registration.
You go through the process of registration. But the EC will keep your card until the review committee has settled your eligibility matter, the challenge that somebody brought up. There's also the provision that at the end of every day, the EC should give printouts to agents. Printout meaning the number of persons they've registered for the day and all their particulars.
Okay.
Age, residential address, gender, all the particulars that they use in registering.
So that if subsequently they want to verify by, visiting them in the homes or checking,
so there's a printout. Now, what the new CI has even added, apart from the daily printout, you should also add the number of persons who have been challenged for that particular day. You understand?
Okay.
It didn't happen under CI-72. It's happening under CI-91. Those who have been challenged provide that list too, apart from the list of all those who have been registered for the day. So that becomes more or less day one. And it's repeated and repeated and repeated. So that is the registration period. But the most important thing is for the person going to register to know what is required of her. So that you don't set off from home, you don't know what is required, you get to the center, you may have to go back home. If you don't have any card, you should have guarantors accompanying you. To all the questions they may ask, you may need to prepare. Somebody gets to the center, what's your house number? Person is stuck. You can't register you because you have to be within the area where they are registering. You have to be in the electoral area to be qualified to be registered, because the law says that if you come and you are not supposed to be registered there, the EC will have to direct you to where you are supposed to go and register. So that even within a district, if, let's say, if you are in a Buri, you are going to register and you go to Brekusu, which is also part of the district and the constituency. They will tell you go to a Buri because that's where your electoral area is. And then that's where you will be voting, because the electoral areas are broken down into polling stations. You understand?
Sure.
So once you're taking off from home, you should know all that you require for you to be able to register. So you go through the process, you are registered.
So now that the EC is not making noise about that, how do people know all this?
That's why you have brought me here today. That's why I'm saying that you should help the EC. You should help the EC, even though their budget, they may not give you some. Probably they will have to come and do some adverts on your network. And you also give them...
Yeah, to compensate, you know?
Yes, and also give them, you give them bonus for the work you do. But that is a critical thing. Otherwise, the person gets there, may end up giving false information, which is an offense under the law. What's your house number? Doesn't remember, so has to say something. But your parents' name, your house number, your age, gender, it can show. And then you go through the process. If there's no hitch, no challenge, nothing, you get your card. Okay. That very moment. Okay. And then you are off.
But if there's a challenge, you go through the process, but you don't go away with a card.
You go away with the card. The card is kept because you have to appear before a review committee to justify why you deserve the card.
That's also new, right?
No, it's always been there.
Okay. A review committee set up there and then, or
after the registration exercise.
Okay.
Now, because we are also using biometric, they would have to ask you to put your fingers on the machine to be registered. But there are 3 types of persons who can be registered. Persons with all the fingers. So you start this, put this there. Persons with less than the 10 fingers. You have a separate list for them. Okay. Somebody may come, he has only 6. Somebody may come, only 5. Somebody may come. The 3rd category, those without fingers at all. They call them face only. It means that you'll be identified only by your face. When it gets to the election day, you will not be asked to put your fingers on the machine to verify you. You don't have any fingers. So it's only the face that they will use, they will scan to verify you. So once you go through all these processes, you get your card. So that is the registration period. Except that the practical challenges, the EC can assure you every day that, oh, everything is on course. Practical challenges, 1, you get to the center, EC themselves, they don't have the CI. You understand me? Some of us, as political parties, we take the trouble to provide CIs for our agents, so that if there's any dispute, any issue, the agent will
just open it up to you.
Yes,
this is what the regulation says.
Yeah. But unfortunately, sometimes even the EC officials don't have the CI. So we have asked the EC to make sure that they provide a CI for all the officers. Already, as I said, some of the officers are even flouting the CI by providing lists without pictures. During registration, a lot of issues will come up from the CI, and they will have to determine them there. In the course of registration, there's what we call irregularity. Irregularity meaning that start at 6 or 7, you come at 10. The agent will have to fill a form. Now, this is the time you came. In the course of registration, everything is finished. You have a long queue, they'll tell you.
And the machines broke down.
Machines broke down, or our batteries are down, or we don't have cartridges to print, even A4 sheets to print, or laminates to laminate the card. They all become issues during registration. Sometimes we, as interested parties, we are being forced to purchase some of these items. You go to a center, there's a long queue. What is the problem? They say their batteries are down. You may have to go and look for batteries for them to operate. You understand?
So these are challenges that it may likely...
That's what they go through every time. We've reminded them, they say everything will be on course. But, for instance, challenge forms. If you want to challenge any person, you have to fill a challenge form. If the forms are finished, how do you challenge? Sometimes we compromise by doing photocopies of the challenge forms so that we as parties, we have copies.
Okay. So when they say they've run out, then you just give them?
We give them. Even in some places, they just write simple English. I'm challenging the application of this person. Then you sign here, then the EC officer to sign. But ideally, there should be a form, because the form is very simple. It's in the CI.
I see.
The challenge form is there. So it's simple, then you fill it. So those are the problems you may face in the course of it.
So when the agent takes notes of all the hitches, what happens?
He fills the form, for instance, to show that you turn up at 12 midday. So you may have to extend the hours for registration.
Okay.
Or on this day, you didn't allow anybody to be challenged. Why didn't you allow it? Maybe you are ignorant of the law. In this case, the party should complain to the EC for it to be rectified as quickly as possible, either on that day or the very next day. So that's the issue. That is where the agents are asked to note all these things. And even in the case of challenge, the new thing is that once you challenge, it should be in duplicate. You keep copy, you give copy to the EC. It's a new thing under the CI 91. So on the first day, if you go through all these processes, then it's assumed that you can do that for the next 10 days or for the next 9 days. And then registration would have been completed. So that is the registration period. We've spoken about pre-registration, spoken about registration itself, and all that's required to be done. Then you go to post-registration, which is also a very difficult
After the exercise.
After the exercise. One, there's a review committee at the district level comprising the head of education, the police commander, reps of registered political parties, rep of a traditional authority. But for political parties, you cannot chair. Maybe members of the committee, but no member of a political party is allowed to chair a review committee. Okay. So the function of this review committee, the secretary to the committee is the district director, EC.
Okay.
So the EC informs persons that a challenge has been raised against you, appear before this committee to come and answer. The person who also challenged, they will also inform you, come and justify why you think this person should not be given the card. So the committee says and takes decisions on these things. Where you are not satisfied, it means that the next stage is to go to court.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Whichever party is not satisfied may have to proceed to court. And all these things would have to be done before you get a provisional register.
Is there provision for a speedy...
We've given timelines. Within 7 days, do this. Within 3 days,
even
do
to
this.
the courts?
Even to the courts.
Because if the person takes it to the courts, that could drag.
Even to the courts, because you, in the first place, you have to do all these things before you have a provisional register. And it's a provisional register that you exhibit. You then come to the exhibition stage. And at the exhibition stage, there can be still more issues. Everybody go and check your name. Not only your name, check others. So one, you can go and say, my name, Mamavi, is not spelled very well. You fill a form for correction. Okay. So your name will be corrected. Maybe the person loves you too much, so instead of one M, he makes it double M. Mamavi. You correct it. That's number one. Maybe your name will not appear at all. That's the exhibition stage.
Even though you have a card?
You have a card you've registered. That when you fill another form, include my name on the register. Or maybe it's so obvious, I don't want to use names, but it's so obvious that you know a personality is no more. But the name is there. You fill a form.
To delete it?
To delete it, to object, objection form.
Okay.
That remove this name from it. Not only that it's no more, you think that person is not even qualified to have the name on the register. You fill a form.
So this also covers the exhibition exercise?
This is during the exhibition period. That is post-registration. This is the exhibition period, when the provisional register has been displayed for everybody to go and check. Now, for inclusion and correction, that's no problem. But for objection, another wahala. It will still have to go to a committee, the magistrate, and then if you don't even agree, to the High Court for it to be resolved. And then we get a certified register. So it's a certified register which will be used for the elections. Now, even for certified register, when it comes to multiple registration, now the CI91 has listed long procedure under which the EC would take out names that they have found to be multiple on the register. And once you go to that procedure, then you have a full list. So what it says is that after inclusions, corrections, objections, then you have a certified register. So that register is ready to be used. So another side of this, if you say post, if probably we'll divide it into 4 to make it easier. 3 during registration, post-registration, and then major segment for offenses and penalties. That is where you may even have to emphasize. A lot of people don't know that there are a lot of offenses they commit during this whole exercise, and that can land them in trouble, a fine or imprisonment.
Sure.
For various reasons.
So this is a very detailed regulation.
Detailed and then probably
but you know,
academic.
Sadly, there's a lot of noise being made, but not on the proper content of the documents, which would be helpful to people.
Part of it is you, the media.
Really?
Yes, I know
most of you,
I know for your part,
MPs, NDC MP.
I know for your part, you've been trying to get me here, except that because we are on recess. And
you're supposed to be in the constituency
not
working.
I'm supposed to be in the, I mean the constituency. So we've not been able to have the opportunity,
Sure.
but it's not late. 1 week to the exercise, maybe it will make it easier for people to remember. But I think that we need to dwell more on this. People should not, yes, somebody 16-year-old, somebody would coax the person, go and register. It's a serious offense. And if parents know that they cannot just sit down for their children to commit such offenses, which may even affect them, they will think twice. How much are they going to give you for you to commit such an offense? Somebody may go through, you may not go through. And then you become the symbol of fraud and everything that the whole world will be looking at. But they need to know. Out of ignorance, people may do it.
Sure.
Just change. In any case, if you go and give your right date of birth and they key in, if you are below 18, the machine will reject. But somebody with fraud in their mind will go with an age which machine will accept. And if you are, I remember the last registration, my daughter was just a month or so shy of 18, but she didn't register because of the consequences.
Because she wasn't 18,
She
even if it
wasn't
was
18.
a day to 18.
Yes, and she will not change her date, birth date, just because of registration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So the education is very key, and the consequences of offenses, you cannot imagine.
Okay. So what do you say, maybe closer to the time we have a part 2 of this, maybe your constituents would give you the permission to come on the show again?
I wouldn't mind at all.
Okay. So in wrapping up,
it's
there
in
are
the
a lot
service of the nation.
Okay, sure. There are a lot of people who are interested in the conversation.
Yes.
So the questions that they are asking, this one says, please ask if it's possible to print our telephone number at the back of the ID cards so that when missing people, when it's lost, then people can call. That's from Obuda in Tamale, who's asking.
Well, it's not indicated in the CI You're supposed to provide those details, but not it's your residential address and your name and your face. That's on the card, not your phone number.
Okay. This one says, I know the EC has a period for all eligible voters to go and check their names at the various polling stations. I want to know what happens to those who couldn't go and check for theirs. Will their names be deleted?
Well, as of now, the law doesn't say that if you don't go and check your name will be deleted. The only risk you take is that if your name is not on the register, during election you may encounter a few problems before you can.
Because then you didn't go to check ahead of time.
Ahead of time. And then you go to the election day, they don't find your name. It becomes a major problem for you.
Okay. That's from Daniel Ajete Okain. Thanks for that message. This one says, and I'm only reading messages that are strictly related to the conversation. This one says, I think the business of calling for a new register, okay, that's not where we are going. You want to go there?
I don't mind.
Okay, for calling for a new register is no longer an item to sell for political advantage. I'll advise the Let My Vote Counts with their paying masters to stop wasting their time and get to serious business. It continues, but that's from Alhaji Willie P. in Ifyekuma. I wouldn't
These are some of the problems we face as a country. We've passed the stage of new register. Nobody's talking about new register now. We are not talking about cleaning the register, auditing it, exhibition. The EC's solution is that when it's exhibition, everybody should go and check the name. But if you don't go and check, or if for any reason you don't go and check, your name will still be there and you'll be able to vote. Now, the MPP, this one I have to dwell on that. The MPP's position is that if in the CI, because you are using biometric, when you are registered 60 days before elections, you cannot vote. 2012, it happened. Some people even went to court, and the court agreed with the EC that because of the technology they are using, if your name is not on the register 60 days before elections, your name will be there, but you will not be allowed to vote.
60 days before the election?
The elections.
Okay.
So because of continuous registration, you may go, they will register you 10 days before elections.
But that doesn't mean that you can...
That doesn't mean that you can vote, because they would have processed everything, and then you will only be able to vote in the next elections. So the MPP's position is that if this is in the CI, then also make a provision for people to go and validate their names up to a certain point, where beyond that point, if they would not have validated, that means they don't want to vote.
Okay.
And that is a very simple way of cleaning the register. More so when a lot of people use National Health Insurance card to register, which the Supreme Court has said that is unconstitutional. It's simpler and it makes the whole thing smooth. Because the alternative is where you have people raising so many objections during exhibition, to the extent that the course will be inundated with hundreds of thousands of objections, which they have to settle before we go for elections. So if you pass a law, amend the CI, which will say that come and validate, this is a window, up to, let's say, 20 days before elections, or for convenience, the date for transfer is 42 days before elections. So up to the date for transfer, make sure you go and check so that we can confirm your registration and get you to vote. It will be simpler for EC. And that is the message the MPP is preaching. Except that it's become another political game.
They're not listening to you, are they?
The unfortunate part is that they say they don't have the law to back it. Meanwhile, they make the law. We don't make the law. So if they make the law and come and put it in Parliament, the law will pass. So long as they can prove that it's constitutional and two-thirds don't reject it, it becomes the law. But if you say, I don't have the law to back it, I don't have the law to back it, who makes the law? In your case, you make the law. So sit down.
Just like they brought forward these regulations.
So sit down, think through the whole process, and make sure that you can justify what you're doing. I want to clean the register. I wish I had made a new register, but time and money, I can't do it. I want to clean it. It's also a problem. All those who registered, find a way of coming to confirm that you are the persons who registered and that you qualify to be registered up to a certain point. After that, I have my names on the register. I can go ahead. That is where the bone of contention is now.
Sure. Finally, just before I let you go, as chair of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, whose committee, by the way, watched this CI to mature, are you proud of the products?
Well, to the extent that we have our work cut out for us. When any instrument is brought to Parliament, it's referred to our committee. Yours is to make sure that it is constitutional, it is legal, that it's not retrospective. All the things that you're supposed to look at under the standing orders. If you are satisfied with that, you send a report. Indeed, in our report, we even emphasize on the fact that in spite of all that the EC has put down, they should find the money and time to educate Ghanaians on the implications of this CI.
Okay.
You understand? And sometimes it's not even the question of are you satisfied? Is it constitutional? Is it legal? Is it retrospective? All those things. And then when you get to the floor of the House, if 2/3 of members don't agree with this, they should file the motion, and then there's a vote on it. If 2/3 get their votes, this instrument is then rejected. So far, this is what we've done. We understand that the EC wants to also amend the CI 75, which is the regulations on elections itself. So once they do it and bring it to Parliament, it goes to the 21 sitting days.
So they can do this before November?
Depends on how early they come. We are hoping to go back by first week, at most second week of May. And if they are ready.
How long did this take? Because you went, there was a lot of back and forth.
Oh, once it's late, it's 21 sitting days. And if Parliament is sitting, the days will count. And if you, just a minute, I have mine here, but what you need to always look at is the back of the CI. It gives you the date of Gazette notification and the date of entry. So kindly mention the dates for
This
them.
was gazetted 12 February 2016,
Yes.
entered 18th March.
So it became law on 18th March. So since 18th March, CI 91 has been operating.
All right. I thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you
Thank
too.
you so much. Whatever it costs for you to be here.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure because we are not only educating ordinary people, even party members and agents are being educated on such platforms.
Sure.
So I'll force and come again.
Okay. So that's
sure, by that time you would have also gone through the CI.
Yes, I will, because
you have more
there
questions.
were some misconceptions and I stopped myself from asking you those questions because then I'll look very funny. So
Well,
it's good for us to read it.
It's been cleared.
Yeah, because you hear people make arguments
Yes.
on certain things and you're like, okay, where is this coming from? So
Yes.
I'll definitely read it
Yes.
and then come back to you.
That's good. It's not
so
only about entertainment, it's also about electoral matters.
Yes, it is. That's the Honourable Osei Swamwa. He's Member of Parliament for Ekrep himself, also chairs Parliament Subsidiary Legislation Committee. We'll rove and come back and do AM Talk. Now, newsstands are usually overwhelmed with men and women every morning. They go there with one aim, to read the stories that make the headlines. But do these headlines actually stick in their heads or minds throughout the day? And what stories are of interest to the people who go to the newsstands? Derek echoes some. He's all curious this morning, roving on the subjects.
We're out and about today on Roving on the AM show. Today, we want to look at which stories interest the people who come to the various newsstands to read. I am at this newsstand on the Newtown Road, and there are a lot of people gathered here. There are sports-related issues, health issues, and then the education, politics as well. So let's get to this newsstand and see what people are reading over here.
I'm a sports enthusiast.
Okay.
Sports enthusiast. So I'm looking at the league table and then has Kotoko rivalry. That is what has caught my hand.
There are a lot of stories in the headlines today. We have President inaugurates 5th community SHS at Chindiri. There's the 2 judges dismissed. Why did you bypass all of this, and then for you are looking at sports?
I'm not so much interested in politics matter. I normally come here for football. Those ones I'm not so much in. I'm interested in education, sports. These are the areas that I'm in.
But there are some education stories in here. But
teacher certificates. Some teacher certificates that are fake, and then They are trying to clean the system. That is where I looked at.
But for you, your interest is in sports?
Yeah, sports and then education. These are my areas.
What do you make of what's happening in the Ghana Premier League so far?
It's challenging and competitive. It's now competitive because every team is good now.
I'm not abreast to politics and I don't do politics much per se. But I just go through and glance through the headlines because most of the things I find it on the internet. And as I'm saying, I always come close to this stance just to come and have a new look at the sports papers.
So which sports headline has caught your attention today?
Oh, about Neymar and Mbasa, about their losses as at this time, especially the sports. There's the graphic sports like this, the back, most of the time I've been reading it and then looking at the latest sports issues.
But why don't you have an interest in the other issues? For example, the president has been commissioning some schools. The Anas case as well is also ongoing. 2 judges have been dismissed. And the other sad stories as well. Why would you pitch your interest in sports instead of the other issues?
Those are issues that are national issues, as I'm saying. And then it's take the discerning mind to sit and then argue and then deliberate over those things. But I don't find it a logic going through papers looking at those things.
The reason why I'm interested on the judges' cases, I don't know how I'm going to say it or something like that. And I've been hearing about this case for a long time. And now I've seen it this morning. I just want to know how these 2 people were separate in the case. And that's why I'm interested on this, particularly on this heading.
Does that help you to prepare for the day?
Yeah, it helped me to prepare for the day, and I know what I'm going to do, and to know what is going on in the town. If somebody is saying it, I've already seen it in the paper, so you cannot just tell me what is.
There's this story about 9 family members dying in a tricycle crash. It does not interest you in any way?
Well, it's interested, but I think they should know the number of people they should sit in the transactor.
2 judges sacked, and also Nadmo is now in Paris. What I'm saying is that I don't know why Nadmo is now out of materials, because formerly I was working at the AMA near the Nadmo office. When I was there, I saw so many goods coming from abroad. But I don't know why at the moment Nadmo don't have anything there. So it's something that worries me. And mostly Ghana, the way things are going, in fact, when I sit down and think of it, I say, why?
Well, for a lot of people here today, sports is why they came here to look at the newspaper headlines. For others, they came here to look at the politics issues. And most of them, they just come in, read the headlines, and then they go, because for them, they hear the main story on radio, and also they get to watch it on TV. This has been Roving Reports for today. My name is Derek. I call Sam.